Going to discuss this Monday night and Tuesday. It's called, everybody knows it, Lag baomer. You know, these days we do count the days until Shavuot when we read the Ten Commandments. They're called the days of Omer. Now, what was exactly Omer? I'm not going to talk about it so much. That's not the main point. In times of the temple, they used to bring a very small gift for God, made out of barley flour. They made like a type of a cake. Part of it was burnt on the altar, part was given to the priest to eat. So the Torah says after that, you have to count 49 days until the giving of the Torah, the Ten Commandments, and that's a holiday of Shavuot. So it was always a happy day, very, very nice thing. There was no problem. Until, 1800 years ago, 1700 years ago, in times of Rabbi Akiva, he was a big rabbi, a tragedy happened. So these days are days of mourning. Any of maybe your parents told you no haircuts until Tuesday, no weddings until Tuesday? Have you come across that? Yeah, I was in the elementary school. What is it? Nessel Elementary School. So I spoke. I said, "Oh, my dad told me I can't take a haircut till Tuesday." He didn't know why. So what did exactly happen? That these days turn out to be sad days until the 33rd day of the Omer, which is this Tuesday. So they said Rabbi Akiva had a very big school in different cities. Guess how many students, people? How many students do you have in Elcamino? 5,000, 6,000? How many do you have? 4,000. Okay, around 4,000. Rabbi Akiva had 24,000 students. It was bigger than Santa Monica College.
24,000?
Yeah, big deficit. Anyways, that was the school that he had. And what was his main teaching? The Torah says, love your fellow just like yourself. Rabbi Akiva taught this all the time. And he told him, something? The Torah has general rules and small rules. Loving a fellow is a general rule. It's a huge rule. And not just a huge rule, a general rule, but klal gadol, which means a big general rule. And guess which Torah scholars were the most disrespectful to each other? His own students. Isn't that doesn't make sense? The teacher talks about it. Please, guys, you got to love your fellow just like yourself. He teaches it the whole time. And his own students didn't keep that. They actually didn't respect each other. So the Gemara, the Talmud says, because of that, during this period between Passover and 33 days later, they all died. 24th, it was a pandemic. It was a punishment, we know what a pandemic is. We just saw it a few years ago when coronavirus came. Millions of people died all over the world. So we are used to that. Unfortunately, some type of a pandemic came and all the 24,000 students died. That's when Rabbi Akiva went and got new 5 students. Okay, so now why is the so that's what we mourn all these days. We are not happy, but on the 33rd day, the last of them died. No more death. So that's when we start celebrating again, because there was no more death. Was an end to it. Why am I talking about this, guys? What do we learn from here? You see, we learn from here how much is important to honor people. I don't see that the Bible says if people didn't keep Shabbat, they died. Doesn't say it anywhere. There's a punishment if somebody ate non-kosher. Doesn't say the punishment was that a pandemic came and they all died. Here, these students didn't respect each other. Honoring people is so important in the eyes of God that if there's disrespect, takes a lot of blessings away. I'm going to ask you a question, guys. Again, we have to keep everything as much as we can. What do you think is more important to God? To be religious between ourselves and God, like extra kind, going out of our way, keep Shabbat the best way, started early, ended late, study Torah the whole time, the important commandments. Or is it more dear to him to honor another human being? Second one, right? Honoring human beings is the most important thing. And actually, honoring another person is like you honor God. Disrespecting another person is like you disrespect God. What's the logic? Everybody knows the beginning of the Bible. God created everything, animals, plants, whatever, everything. What does it say about Adam and Eve? God created them in what? 2 words in English. He created them in...
What was the question again?
It says God created Adam different than animals, Adam and Eve. He created them in his close word, in his image. That means every human being is created in the image of God. Not that God has looks, physical looks, but honestly, he has intellect, that he knows the difference of good and bad. Every single one of human beings, God gave them a gift. That's the intellect, their emotions, that it can know difference. They could know difference of good and evil. So there's a part of God within every person. That's what the Bible means. Again, and over there doesn't talk about Jews or non-Jews. Adam wasn't a Jew. So it says he created Adam in the image of God. That obviously includes the entire humanity. So when somebody disrespects a human being, he's disrespecting image of God. And when he actually honors another human being, he's honoring the image of God. And I'm going to bring just one more point and I'm going to be finished. Even let's say if you want to do a mitzvah, you want to do a good act, but we do it in a way that causes somebody else hurting, it's not a commandment, it's a sin. One of our obligations are, if somebody is doing something wrong, tell him not to do it. You'll understand that, right? If you see somebody's taking drugs, tell him stop it or tell the authorities. Again, we understand there are certain wrong things, you don't let anybody do it. If somebody wants to throw himself off, I don't know if there's any more Empire State Building, they were like blown up. I don't know if they built it or not, but anyways, imagine somebody goes on a roof, wants to throw himself down. Everybody comes, the police comes and the fireworks come, everybody comes, fire trucks, ambulances come. What do you care? He wants to kill himself. Because we all know we are responsible for each other. If somebody is doing something wrong, you got to try to save him, hold him back from doing something wrong. So imagine a human being is doing something wrong. So the Torah says, tell him not to do the wrong thing. Same statement the Bible says, but do not do a sin while you're doing it. What does that mean? If I'm telling you, please guys, ask a few times, please. If the Bible tells me stop him from doing a sin, how am I sinning by stopping him? So the commentators say, don't tell him off in public to embarrass him. If my telling him to stop the sin will embarrass him, that's not a commandment. I'm doing a sin. You get that? I'm stopping from doing something wrong. But if I'm going to say it in a way publicly that he's embarrassed, sorry, it's not a mitzvah. It's actually a sin. I embarrassed the person. So if when I'm even doing a good act, I have to be careful not to embarrass the person, how much more so just going bluntly and hurting somebody else? And this is very important to know, guys. We see now, you look at the news, somebody one day feels that, something belongs to him. What does he do? Goes and breaks a store and steals. Yeah, you're entitled. They hurt people financially, I don't know, money-wise, feeling-wise. We have to know every human being is the image of God. Please take this important lesson with you. And God willing, you guys are going to be leaders or, some community members, definitely. Everyone could influence another person to become better. And God willing, we'll have a much better world in the future. Thank you for listening, everyone. Let's go, guys. Please pass it up.